Merry Christmas, and welcome back to Blood and Black Rum Podcast's Festivus series for 2021. It's been a tough year, and that's why we're bringing you all of your Christmas favorite films. Things like Black Xmas from 2006. We did all the other ones. Home Alone, a holiday staple. Christmas Evil, because you can't get enough evil Santas. And finally, Better Watch Out, because it's free and it's on Netflix. We hope you tune in all season long for these festive Yuletide goodies. Hey guys, welcome back to the Blood and Black Rum Podcast. I'm Ryan from Coldsploitation.com, and I'm joined with my co-host Martin.
How's it going?
We're doing pretty well. We are into the thick of holiday cheer, continuing our Festivus series. That's all month long in December, where we take a look at some very classic Christmas movies. And I say that, and then we're doing one from 2016, which is only 5 years ago.
A modern classic.
Modern classic, that's right. And, you know, you can't forget the other classics that we've done, like Silent Night, Deadly Night, Part 4 and 5. We just do them all. We do all the classics. If those aren't included on your holiday viewing during, you know, Christmas Eve when the family's all together, then what are you doing with your life?
Or Silent Night.
Yeah, the remake. Yeah. Oof. Just thinking about that one brings back bad memories.
Blumhouse Black Christmas.
You know what, though? We liked that one, kind of. We kind of enjoyed that one.
Did we?
Yeah, you did. You said you kind of liked it.
Yeah.
You have to go back and listen to your own show.
I know. Like you said, well, listen. If people don't know by now, most of these reviews are just taking the piss, and a lot of these films are in one ear and out the other. If you were to ask me what I think of the Saw franchise, I would say not great, but I did like Costas Mandalore.
Yeah, now you can't even remember them again. You have to do another marathon. Which
is funny too. Like I said, like maybe for the 200th episode, we'll have to go back to Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 1, just to see okay. It's been 6 years
we still
now.
Like it as much?
Well, I don't think I liked it at all when we watched it. I think the only part I liked about it was Warm Side of the Door.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was, but again, it's been so long, so damn long.
Yeah, in our reviews would change. It could be completely different if we revisit it again. Who knows? But for this episode, for our Festivus series, our second one of 2021, we're covering a movie that, like I said, was released in 2016. I saw it one time back in 2016 when it first came out, when it hit streaming, and at that time it went to Netflix. It's not there anymore, despite what our intro says. You will not find this movie on Netflix anymore.
Sorry.
Yeah. But, you know, I hadn't really revisited it, and I couldn't really remember too much about the movie. But I ended up thinking that it was a fairly fine film again. We're talking about 2016's Better Watch Out. And what conjures Christmas like an Australian film?
Austro-American.
Yeah, combination platter.
Listen, you know what? I'm going to take umbrage with the fact that this is an Australian film. I didn't see Paul Hogan anywhere.
Yeah.
Isn't that the only way that the film could be possibly, Australian, if it's got Paul Hogan?
Or kangaroos. One or the two. Gotta have one of the two, or else it's not Australian.
I didn't see no Forsters.
So does that... Yeah, so... So it's an Australian-made film, co-production, but certainly set in the same time frame of Christmas in the, continental United States, Canada, North America style, because there's lots of snow. And so one thing that I do like too is that sometimes the accents creep in. We get a little bit of a Australian accent occasionally during heated moments or during turns of phrase. The Australian accent creeps in, especially from our main protagonist, Olivia de Jong, who plays Ashley, the babysitter. Ashley's a perfect name for her too. It's
Ashley the Australian.
super cookie cutter name for our protagonist, who is basically living out the perfect lifestyle at this time, though she's going through a rough patch during Christmas, moving away, having to leave her boyfriend Ricky. Tough times during the holiday season.
Who in the 2010s would have their child named Ricky?
Well, maybe that's a nickname. Maybe he likes
Luke.
it.
Well, Luke's up there, and so is Jeremy and Ashley. But Ricky, come on. I think then we leave that behind in the 80s.
No one wants to be a Ricky.
Yeah.
So, you had never seen Better Watch Out, had you?
Nope.
I didn't think so. Yeah, it's kind of one that's been outside of your radar. And so
I only suggested it because I like the name.
Better Watch Out.
Watch out.
Actually, and I'm pretty sure Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 3 is subtitled Better Watch Out as well, which gets even more confusing. That's the problem when you get to Christmas, and particularly Christmas horror movies. You have lots of movies that, or shows or shorts that sound very similar. You have Silent Night, Deadly Night. You have Silent Night, Bloody Night. You have Black Christmas. You got Black Xmas. You got other Black Christmas. You've got Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 3, Better Watch Out. You've got Better Watch Out. You've got what else?
Maybe that's why they didn't use the exclamation point, because you're right. Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 3 is Better Watch Out.
Yeah, it's that exclamatory statement. Better watch out. Yeah.
Which that had a Ricky in it too. Wow, just
jeez,
everything's just coming so fucking full circle.
But no, so like I said, it surprised me that this came out 5 years ago because I haven't really thought about it too much since I saw it. Only seen it one time, and this is a movie that you fare particularly well with seeing it the first time. It's one of those ones where you see it the first time, there's the twist that you get, and then if you've seen it, watching it again, you kind of are already expecting certain things to take place. So that's an interesting dynamic that you will have, that you were watching for the first time versus me, who I've seen it and I vaguely remembered the plot turns and twists that it had in it. So we'll be able to talk about that dynamic, first watches versus secondary watches. So that'd be fun. The other thing that I want to point out right away is that Better Watch Out came out around the same time. I don't know if it was the same year, but it was around the same time that Netflix's original film, The Babysitter, came out. And they have a lot of similar ideas at play. The Babysitter doesn't take place during Christmas, but it is about the dynamic between a younger male character and an older babysitter. And the main difference is in the twist and in what happens in it. They're both about technically home invasion. So
Babysitter came out a year later.
In 2017, yeah.
So as I clarify, the Wikipedia is saying too for Better Watch Out that it came out in 2016, but that was at a fest. It wasn't actually released to theaters until a year later, which released October 6th, 2017. Babysitter on Netflix was the next week, October 13th. So.
Right. So and I think that's why they kind of play together in my mind, because I feel like I watch them, really close together. They have a lot of the same dynamics. They're very, very similar, and yet they change it up quite a bit. But one thing that Better Watch Out has going for it that The Babysitter doesn't is its holiday setting. And as we have talked about in previous episodes that we've done for Christmas, one of the dynamics that works really well for horror is to pair it with a holiday, because you're going to return to that, right? So you're going to return to a film that you can watch every year on that same holiday. And movies like Halloween and Black Christmas really set that into motion of setting it around a holiday and getting a lot of mileage out of the elements of that holiday. And I think Better Watch Out makes good use of that. And we'll talk about the holiday magic of the movie and whether it has enough holiday magic and Christmas spirit later on in the show. Anything you want to add in the intro before we take a quick break?
Yeah, just one quick thing. When you called our protagonist, Cookie Cutter. What a perfect segue into today's beer talk.
Yeah, but before we do that, we actually have a promo clip to run today.
Oh, what's that?
Well, we have a friendly podcast that was looking for like other podcasts to collaborate with, and of course I said, yeah, sure. You know what? We would run a promo on our show because we love to do that, right? We love to get the most out of other people's podcasts and give them whatever.
You told them that cost a 6-pack, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, but we like to get, give other podcasts shout outs and things like that for whatever our audience can bring to them. I don't know how big our audience is really to give them lots of exposure, but we'll do the best we can. So we have a promo from the Cult Film Companion, which is another podcast about movies, and in this case, more about specifically cult films. We do some cult films on here, but then we do stuff like Home Alone, and it's a cult film as well as a family classic. We don't tend to do a lot of like sexploitation on here, for instance.
I think. Listen, if you've been riding with us for 6 years, and if you notice by season like a year and a half in, we start to miss the point.
We started out doing spaghetti westerns and giallos, and then we went to Cats
Marvel.
and Dogs
And Marvel, and she's all that.
And Wes Anderson movies. So you get a mix of everything on here. The Cult Film Companion, they're doing more specifically cult films, and we wanted to give them a shout on here and play their promo because they're doing good work as well, and maybe they'll cover some films that we don't get a chance to cover or haven't gotten to yet. So we hope you check them out. Gonna run the promo.
Hi, this is Chris from the Cult Film Companion podcast. The fine folks at the Blood and Black Rum podcast have been very gracious in allowing me to take up a bit of their time to talk about my show, the Cult Film Companion podcast. We are the home of movies that are off, under, and ahead of the cinematic radar. Some of the movies that we've covered so far include The Howling, Halloween 3, Let's Scare Jessica to Death, Dune, the David Lynch version, Blowout from Brian De Palma, Brick from Ryan Johnson, and Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia from director Sam Peckinpah, as well as Blue Collar, which is an underrated 70s movie from director and writer Paul Schrader, and Dr. Detroit, a wacky Dan Aykroyd comedy from the 80s that smells like cocaine. So this is about all my time. Again, we are the Cult Film Companion podcast. You can find us on Facebook, the Cult Film Companion podcast. Hopefully the fine folks at the Blood and Black Rum podcast will link some of our website and Twitter into the notes for this particular episode, and I will return you to these very fine people and their very fine show, and they're very, I'm sure, I personally am looking forward to the discussion of Better Watch Out, a highly underrated horror Christmas movie, is one that needs to be seen. So let's get back to Better Watch Out. Thank you.
Okay, so back to the beer talk for today. You were about to mention, speaking of Cookie Cutter, I didn't want to cut into your segue too much there, so you can take it away from there.
So, how can we already started off strong last week when we did Alma Gang's Everything Nice, strong Belgian golden ale with seasonal flavors.
I know, a holiday hit.
A holiday hit, that's, great way to say it. How can we, up the ante?
Follow up that beer.
Well, Southern Tier, I wouldn't say up the ante, but they brought some
a uniqueness,
a unique, delightful experience that is definitely going to keep you warm during this nice, cold, miserable season. As we've already been a couple days in, and every day been getting at least up here in upstate New York. 4 hours of snow, 4 hours of rain, 4 hours of snow, and then 4 hours of rain. And then 4 hours of snow and 4 hours of rain. And 8 hours of both and 2 hours of gray. And then repeat. So Southern Tier, I don't know how many beers of theirs we've done on the podcast. I think maybe one or two.
Yeah.
Not a lot. But they are a New York brewer based in the Southern Tier region of New York, which if you don't know your New York State geography, that would be like the southern part of New York that connects to like the Pennsylvania region. And they have a wonderful winter seasonal beer that I don't know if it's the first year doing it or if it's the first year that's been eligible up here, because I know if I've seen it before, I would have grabbed it before because it's very interesting and intriguing. It's a frosted sugar cookie Imperial Ale. Now, I know what you're thinking because I thought the same thing too. When you see Imperial Ale, your mind instantly is going to jump to, oh, it's a sugar cookie stout. But you're wrong. It's not a sugar cookie stout. It's actually just a sugar cookie.
Ale. Yeah.
Yeah, I to be honest with you, I was just on their website too earlier. I'm gonna have to double check. I can't even remember what the hell what type of ale they would consider. They just said Imperial Ale.
They're calling it a strong ale, an American strong ale.
So yeah,
Which, I've had with strong ales. I don't know that I would necessarily say that this tastes like a strong ale to me.
no.
It just, it like the overall the flavor is what you would call this beer. You would say it's like a vanilla ale. I don't know if you would classify it with like a specific term. But the frosted sugar cookie, it was one that I wanted to check out. It's got a nice label on it.
Very
it's
nice and festive.
Nice festiveness. They've got like literal sugar cookies on the label. They got a nice little snowman.
The
4 buttons on it. I generally don't do 4 buttons on the snowman. I do 3, but you do use Southern Tier.
Nice evergreen tree sugar cookie.
And you know what, too? I gotta say, whoever molded these sugar cookies, they did a fantastic job, because whenever I use cookie cutters, not good at punching them out.
Chintzy.
Let's say that. Yeah. I'm not good at it. They always come out with like missing, if this is a tree, there's gonna be missing one of the little branch sections and stuff. They did a good job. But anyway, this beer, as an Imperial Ale, 8.6%. And the one thing that I'll say is you certainly do taste the alcohol towards the end of the beer. That's what gives you that warm and fuzzy feeling. So if you're feeling, after you have this beer, you're feeling warm and fuzzy, you could thank the 9% alcohol content for that. Warming up by a fire. Just don't get too close to the fire, you might catch fire.
Yes, especially if you like drink 2 of these in a row, you sit there and breathe a little bit. It's like you just had a nice hot toddy. It's gonna be
Yeah, I mean, I'm working on my second, so. But this beer,
lush.
Yeah, I know. This beer was really interesting. When I cracked it open and I had a sip, I was like, when I first had it, I was like, I do not know what to think about this beer. I need to. Normally, I'll have a beer, I'll take a couple sips, and I'm already like rating it, which is probably not a good idea because you can get through beer like 3/4 of the way and you're like, wow, this has gotten really, yeasty or rosiny. It's like burning my throat because it's too, it's too yeasty. So you might want to change your rating, but
well, see, this is why we're not sommeliers, because we literally go just on pull the old fucking Dave Portnoy, but instead of like one bite, everyone knows the rules. With a pizza, it's one sip, everyone knows the rules. Could get better, but I don't care. Fuck it. It's going in untapped as is.
It's pretty, and my rating is pretty arbitrary anyway. but anyway, I wasn't sure how to rate it, what to think of it, so I had to have a few more sips, and then I found, I liked it. It definitely has a very sweet vanilla flavor to it on the forefront. Maltiness. It's got I would say a medium mouthfeel. It's not as thick as you might expect, like creamy as you would expect. But it's a very vanilla-y, sweet, buttery beer. And bordering almost on too sweet. And I think part of that too comes from the alcohol content. The alcohol content adds a almost like a cloying flavor to the end of this beer sometimes. I don't think it's too overpowered, but I wish that it wasn't there as much. I wish that it had pared down the alcohol content in favor of like the softer vanilla flavors. But overall, I like it, and I think it's a really interesting idea that does conjure holiday spirit,
which is what we're all about here.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I actually thought, to be honest with you, going in after when I got picked up this and the Everything Nice, I was much more looking forward to this and the Everything Nice, because even though as I've said a billion times before, I love me some nice Belgian beers. The holiday seasoning for the winter time is always something that's can either be very good or very bad depending on what type of flavors they're going with. Like if they're going with like a nice coriander and like nutmeg and cinnamon, it can be delightful. If you're going with like dry fruits, then no. So I do enjoy this beer quite a bit. I think it nails the sugar cookie profile beautifully, and it works incredibly well. I think it'd be really nice to see them do like a stout version of this to see how that pairs too, because I think that would be a really good, interesting thing too. But I think a strong ale works surprisingly well. You definitely do get at least I do. I get a very buttery taste to it, like you're almost eating like a nice butter cookie. You definitely get sugar to it too. Nice sweetness. It does. Like I said, it definitely does taste like a sugar cookie. I do agree with Ryan. I do think it's a little too alcohol-y on the back end, but I think it pairs well with this in the sense that there is enough sweetness here to where, the alcohol, even though if you're not a fan of having that lingering taste, does give you a nice warming feeling to you, a nice warming sensation, warms you up, especially on cold days like this. And as Ryan and I were talking before we even started the episode, I think what would make this beer even better and make it into a new tier of even greatness is that they just did one little thing to change it, and that's add a little bit of cinnamon to it, a little bit of brown sugar, make a snickerdoodle beer instead. That way, it would pair much, much better with the alcohol, the taste that it goes with. So I think a snickerdoodle version of this would be absolutely delightful, and I would rush to buy it and try it. It's one of my favorite cookies. But I like this a lot. I do think it works really well. Because it is so alcohol heavy, I wouldn't be running off to buy it en masse. But I think, hey, gonna sit down and warm up and watch a movie? Have a couple of these.
So, bear with me. What about lime sugar cookie?
Key lime, I think that would work too.
Right?
That'd be like a nice like summery version they could do.
Yeah, like a different version of this one where they add lime to it. Lime sugar cookie. I think that would be really interesting.
I think that would work too.
And you're right. I think they should experiment with this too. They did an Imperial strong ale. Throw it in a stout. Do the frosted sugar cookie stout version. Do the, even better, frosted sugar cookie milk stout. Just,
that would be delightful.
Super creamy, lactosey. I think that would be interesting. They should make them into versions. That should be next year's beer. Southern Tier, if you're listening, we just inspired you for next year's Christmas beer.
At no charge at all.
Yeah, right. Only a sponsorship fee of 1 year's worth of Southern Tier beer.
Or mention.
That's right.
Just mention us.
That's right. Yeah, so check out the Southern Tier. I'm sure it's Southern Tier gets around, so I'm sure you might have it around you. If you find it, give it a shout. It's a 4-pack and it's not super hefty in price. And Southern Tier 2 has a fair amount of Christmas beers. This is not their only one. They've also got Old Man Winter, I believe, is another one that they, like a winter ale that they made. So that's another one that they have. And I think they may even have one more.
One more what? Sorry,
Christmas beer, holiday beer.
I say I ran off to grab another.
Yeah. No, I think they have at least... I know they have the Old Man Winter Ale.
Yeah.
And I think they may even have one other holiday Christmas beer.
I know they just released a new IPA too. It's like
Oh.
the new haze.
So check them out if you find them.
And they're milkshake IPAs. I think that's what we did, the strawberry milkshake IPA.
Could be.
Or maybe we just had it, but they're strawberry milkshake IPA. That was very good.
Yeah, we could have done that one. I can't remember which one we did on the show.
Somebody
I think
stopped.
it was maybe like an
say,
orange. Was it like an orange pale ale or something?
I don't know.
I can't remember now.
You did like 20 episodes where you put the film title and then the beer on.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
and you just got lazy and quit.
it just didn't work well in the title. But
there's a whole bunch of episodes too. You got to go back and change the cards on because
Yeah. I used to. I do put it in the liner in the show notes now, but yeah, I used to put it in the title.
We have show notes.
Yeah, we have show notes, and in the show notes, I will be putting the Cult Film Companions website link and Facebook group link. So check it out in there. And I put approximate timelines in there too. Like, we get very specific. I'm like, if you guys want to skip the beer talk, here you go. Started at 26 minutes. You don't even need to listen to our beer talk if you don't care. Skip right on over it. If you're a wine connoisseur, you're into cigars instead, skip right on over it.
Listen, I'm very against timestamps. You listen to the whole goddamn episode, damn it.
Or you can't say you listen to it.
Exactly.
You start from zero or you didn't listen. Yeah. You could have missed a key joke in there that carries on to episode 200. And you won't get.
If you didn't listen to all 2.5 hours of our fucking Batman v Superman app or the Terminator Genesis episode, then you're missing out.
I know. I bet you those, if we went back, they probably require some editing, but who knows? We don't edit. Pretty much, we don't edit. What you hear is what you get. That was basically the live session.
Stream of consciousness.
Except for farts and bathroom breaks. Even then, if the money's right, we could record those too.
Oh, I throw in the farts for free.
Patreon content. All right. On to Better Watch Out with no exclamation mark. Should I preface that by saying, what's the guy's name? What's the director's name? Chris Peckover's Better Watch Out? Or is this not one of those movies?
No, because it's not. His name is not on it.
Yeah, he doesn't get the apostrophe on this one.
It'd be nice if he did.
Not well known enough.
Be good enough for his career. Like, that was Chris Peckover's Better Watch Out.
All right, so
I really do. I'm taking a point off this film off the bat for not having the exclamation point because I just want to yell it. What are you watching? Better watch out!
It would have done it all. So it would have done it good. You can feel the energy right away, right from the title. So we should talk about the opening before we get into the twist. I don't really want to get into the twist right away. So,
well, why would we do that?
I don't know.
Why would you ruin it right off the bat?
I'm not going to ruin it right off the bat. I'm going to talk about some other stuff first. So
let's talk about the fucking Home Alone music.
The Home Alone music?
Yeah.
I didn't get a Home Alone type sound. Did you?
Yeah, with the caroling, like
that's Carol the Bells. That's a classic Christmas song. That's one of my favorite Christmas songs because it's so dark. It's like Jesus was born, and then it's like almost knowing it's like, yeah, he's gonna die. He's gonna die for us later.
The fact that you even know the name of the damn song is remarkable. I just knew it as the Garmin song, like gimme, 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 Garmin.
No, yeah, it's Carol the Bells. It's one of my favorite songs.
Let's say, and from Home Alone, because like just like when Kevin's like running, like
in Home Alone, we'll talk about that. I'll save that for the Home Alone episode. We'll save it for the Home Alone episode that we're doing in 2 weeks. But I love Carol the Bells. It's a very intense song. It's a very intense Christmas song. I would say it's way more intense than Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Although they do their own version of Carol the Bells.
How dare you?
The orchestral Carol of the Bells is intense as it is, or even the a cappella choir one. Choral arrangement is very intense, and I love it.
They've been playing the same goddamn show for the past 30 years. The last what is it? The Last Christmas or whatever the hell it's called.
Something like that. They changed it up a little bit, but yeah, I saw it one year. Saw it
I'd say like the Lost Christmas.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, we can start with it though. Better Watch Out does have Home Alone antics to it.
It's an adult's Home Alone film.
Yeah. It certainly, it has like some of the comedic approach to home invasion and traps and such that Home Alone has. It certainly has inspiration from it. And the probably the opening 40 minutes or so is very much like a home invasion adult Home Alone type movie where
not only that, here's the ultimate. Sorry to cut you off, but this is really important to get out. Not only the biggest send up to Home Alone is that it stars Kieran Culkin's long lost son. Garrett is
Ed Oxenbould? Is that who you're talking about? As Garrett?
Yeah.
The stoner drug guy.
10-year-old, yeah, he looks a lot. He could be like he's Kieran Culkin's long lost son.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the idea here for the first 40 minutes is like take a Christmas movie like Home Alone, adultify it a little bit. You got the babysitter element to it that slashers have, and throw in home invasion, and that's your first 40 minutes of the movie where it plays out pretty standardly. You've got your babysitter Ashley, who is alone with Luke, played by Levi Miller. They're hanging out. Luke's somewhat infatuated with Ashley, to the point where, he thinks he's going to get some on this night. And so he's playing all the right moves for Ashley, thinking that she's into him as well. That goes awry. Ashley's not into him. And then there's, a break-in, home invasion, where they're targeted by a group of people who will break in, throw bricks through the window, they come in and with shotguns and are stalking them, and there's a nice little home invasion piece to this. I like that element to it. I think it does it pretty well. In the Christmas setting, really puts it into perspective that it's somewhat influenced by Home Alone, somewhat influenced by Black Christmas. In that 40 minutes, I think you would be, as a viewer, you would be understandably somewhat upset that this seems like it's kind of a generic approach, that it's not, it's not doing its own thing. It's kind of pulling from other sources and not really attempting to be outside of the box. What did you think about that for like the first 40 minutes of the movie?
I liked it. It was
But did you think it was, watching it, were you like, it's kind of, it's kind of like uninspired. It's still, it feels like it doesn't branch out as its own movie. It's kind of drawing from others.
No, you're right, but I think the people within the film make it engaging and interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think, everyone in this film does a great job. Who would have really thought, two child actors would, be that well. And then, Olivia DeJonge, she does a very good job as well. So even though as it comes off as, for the first half of the film, it's your run-of-the-mill cliche, I think it's done well enough and performed well enough and written well enough to where it's interesting and engaging.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think that everybody puts in a really good performance here. I think your mentioning of Kieran Culkin's long-lost son, Ed Oxenbould, I think he does a really good job as Garrett. And we see that a little bit more later on in the movie. But at the beginning, I like him because he's kind of like, he's got moxie, right?
He's your stereotypical douchebag kid.
Yeah, but he's not just a douchebag, though. Like, I don't get the feeling that he's just a douchebag. He has more to it than that. Like, and there's some nuance there that, he could just be like an asshole, but he has more nuance than that.
Listen, one of the things that I was most remarked at was fucking Luke's room. Holy fucking shit. Did you see all the shit he's got on his shelves?
Yeah.
And how neatly arranged everything is?
Yeah, the whole house is like that.
Even for like a child of like 11 years old, like for him to have like all these knickknacks and tchotchkes, just, you know.
Yeah.
It's just kind of ridiculous. Like, oh, that's what you think like a 12-year-old boy's room looks like, this neatly organized. But they do kind of make him out to be a goober, so.
Yeah. Yeah, he's sort of he's put together, and I think we'll talk about that in a second, why they do that and what that draws from, but I mean, I think that they did a really good job doing all the setup in here. I think the holiday element to it is done very well at the beginning of the movie. You know, you really get a feel for, this is taking place during Christmas.
There is one problem with that.
Oh, okay.
You know how you can talk about, like, how do you know it's fake snow?
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the fucking opening,
yeah,
Olivia DeJonge likes to drive like an asshole in her little, like, Suzuki Esteem or whatever the hell it is, with her fucking... I like, too, it's 2015, she's still got, like, an old brick self iPhone, talking like an asshole, doing, like, 25 through this cul-de-sac in the snow, hits her brakes and comes to a nice, slow, good stop.
Yeah, and
that's if you live in the winter, you know that's horse shit. She would have went slitting right into that guy's ass end.
That cat would have been smoked.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's true. The snow is fake here. Noticeably fake.
Wouldn't be that nice, straight stop. Her car would have been like half-ass work because she would have had time to like get to the steering wheel and like,
And especially running out into the snow, you can tell like the footsteps in the snow and stuff. If you lived in a place where you get snow, you instantly notice. You're like, no, it's not real.
Where's the dirt on the snow from the plow truck?
Actually, that does happen later on, though, when he's churning up snow when he's being hanged from the tree. Decker Montgomery's character, when he gets hanged from the tree, and he's kicking at the snow, you can see like there's dirt churning up underneath it, which I thought was a good detail. It's not just like snow after snow, layer after layer of snow. It's like, how deep could that snow possibly be? Nope, he's churning up dirt there, which I liked. Thought that was a good little tidbit. But so the first 40 minutes are, pretty straightforward home invasion. And then pretty quickly after that, it turns into a prank. It was Luke and Garrett playing a prank on Ashley. Garrett is actually the one that had been like the invader. And they put together a pretty elaborate setup of events that made it look like there were multiple people involved in this home invasion. And this is where more of the Home Alone for adults element comes in, because there's like a whole setup involving like a paintball gun that shoots paintballs at someone when they trip the wire. It's a nice little realistic setup that I thought worked to the film's advantage, because it really sells this whole home invasion piece that becomes a prank.
Which just makes you think too, in retrospect, like, yeah, wow, Kevin McAllister really is a psychopath.
Yeah, right, yeah. Right, and the film clearly is using Home Alone in perspective, because the opening dialogue between Luke and Garrett is talking about the paint can element in Home Alone, where he's throwing... It's actually Home Alone...
Home Alone 1.
Yeah, Home Alone 1. Where he's throwing paint cans down the stairs, and they were wondering, would they really just be able to shake that off, or be knocked out for a second and then, be fine again? Or would it, bash their head in and they wouldn't survive? And so clearly Home Alone is an inspiration, but I really do think Black Christmas is an inspiration here too, especially when they go up in the attic in the scene where there's the home invader with Garrett with the rifle. And they go up in the attic with above the laundry room. There's that whole like window that's looking out into the snow, and you kind of get that feeling of Black Christmas where Claire is up in the attic. So I really think Black Christmas is another inspiration here that they were using. And not only that one, but there's the caroling scene too, where, there's a horrific scene in the house, and yet they're out caroling in front of the house, not realizing what's going on inside. And that's pretty much the same as in Black Christmas, where there's the whole caroling scene that they come and, there's a dead girl that they're looking for out in the woods, and here they are caroling, trying to spread the holiday cheer.
So it all sounds like to me.
If it wasn't intentional for them to have both of those elements to be like sort of callbacks to Black Christmas, then that would be insane.
Two things. One, do people still carol? Is that even a thing? I don't think it's a thing. Like, I think we lost
Do you carol?
I think that lost its people stopped doing it after like Dickens died. Like, okay, like, all right, we don't need to do this anymore.
Well, Stand Your Ground kind of made it haphazard.
Potentially lethal to go out there like.
Yeah, right.
Oh, no castle doctrine. You're defending your home.
Yeah.
But that, and also, why be lazy? Just get people who can sing. Because all of these films use the same, like I said, like, all sounds the same. Not everyone sings these songs the same. Like, where's your out-of-tune, like, Tim? Like, just, like, half...
Yeah, right. So you're saying that it's too unrealistic that they all sound great.
Yeah,
one guy came and he just wasn't on for today.
Yeah, where's Tim with, like, the bottle of, like, schnapps in, like, a brown bag? Like, ugh.
Yeah,
wife drags me...
Dragged out by his wife.
Drags me out every year.
Tim, you're going caroling this year. Okay.
Just like, glory to the newborn.
Where's the over-enthusiastic church woman who pulls out the tuner or the harmonica?
Just like the little kid.
Tim, it's C sharp.
Like in Step Brothers, like when they're singing "Sweet Child of Mine," and like his wife's singing, he's like, "No, you're off." Totally flat. Stop. Just stop.
That would be more realistic. Yeah. Not everyone in this neighborhood can possibly sing so well in their caroling.
Because Lord knows if your family went out caroling, your dad would, like, be yelling at your dad, like, "Come on, Corey, try harder." And he's like, "Doing my best. Can't hit that note. What do you want from me?"
So you hear that? Big Hollywood movies. We want to hear more realistic caroling. People who can't hold a tune. We want to hear them singing.
And they're not singing songs like this that haven't been heard since 1874. They're going to be singing like, Grandma got ran over by a reindeer.
They're going to be singing the Christmas shoes.
Mm-hmm. They're going to sing like, a Jeff Foxworthy Christmas song.
All right, so I guess we got to get into the twist part of the movie.
What a twist!
Which pretty much occurs about 50 minutes in, so it's a little bit over halfway into the movie where you get the twist that Luke is kind of planning this whole thing out, and he is sick of being rejected by Ashley, and so he's going to basically pull an incel maneuver. Took the red pill. And
is that what that means?
Basically terrorize Ashley because she rejected him for the last damn time. So the interesting element about Better Watch Out is it certainly does, for about 40 minutes, it kind of shows Ashley and Luke as your protagonists. They're not, certainly Luke is not an antagonist. And then right at that 45, 50 minute mark, the film flips it on you, and it's like, oh, wait a second, that person that you sort of found some sort of humanity in really isn't. And actually, we're going wholehearted American Psycho on this. Which
all it was missing was like, you like Huey Lewis and the News.
well, and I feel like they were doing that in some capacity, especially with like the baseball bat with Ricky. You know, where he does his little dance in the hallway, like Jerry Lewis style dance. He like I think they meant it to be something of like American Psycho, where it's like, hey, this seemingly normal kid who looks like he's all together, you know, wears nice Christmas sweaters and is very attached to his mother, and then he's not actually, you know, mentally well, and in fact, is because of a lack of association with his mother, has kind of flipped things around, and has become this crazy, psychopath, or I guess I would say sociopath, who doesn't really feel like he can associate with regular emotion. He doesn't know what to do with his emotion. And they kind of flip it around on you when you get to that point. And I think that it's a really good change up from the film, because as I said, for about the first 45 minutes, it's a good movie. It's well written. The characters are, well portrayed, but it feels very familiar. And then you get to this point and it's like kind of flips things entirely on their head. Did you feel the same way?
Yeah, but not only that, I'm kind of surprised you haven't mentioned it. Who would you call Luke and Garrett? Who do they in horror remind you of?
Who in horror do? Well, oh yeah, from Scream, Billy and Stu. Right. They definitely have a very, very similar dynamic, and that comes to play towards the end of the movie, specifically with Ed Oxenbold's very great performance as Garrett is dying. He's like, after Luke shoots him, and he's like, "I'm dying, man," and it's very evocative of Scream.
Just missing him. I feel a little woozy.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Which, by the way, he should feel woozy. He smoked some dope and took some oxy.
Yeah, yeah. You're not feeling woozy from the blood loss, man. Yeah, but that was I didn't say it, but I did think it. It's very evocative of Scream, especially at the end of the movie. And so you have Luke, who really can't manage his emotions. He can't. He doesn't really even. He's not even able to think of like the moralistic element to it. It's just like, am I going to get caught with Garrett alive? Yes, shoot him. Then he says, "Look what you made me do."
Well, no, he doesn't even shoot him because he's going to get caught. He shoots him because he's touching Ashley. He finds him, like, not that he was even trying to cut her loose. He was touching her,
Yeah, I don't know. Did you see it as "don't touch my woman," or did you see it as "don't help her"?
No, I saw it definitely as "don't touch my woman."
Because I didn't really see it like that. I saw it more as "don't help her," because I feel like Better Watch Out does make that incel connection. I feel like the whole element of what Luke is doing is really not even about Ashley at all. It's about how he's not able to connect with his mother. And so this will help him connect with his mother, that he went through this trauma.
I don't know. I don't think there's enough there for that.
I don't know. I mean,
and then you also get the part 2 in the beginning when he ties her up and they're playing Truth or Dare, and they're going back and forth, Truth or Dare, and Garrett's like, "God, you're not even asking me anything. Why can't I play in the game?" And dare me to he's like, "Dare me to like touch her tit," and he's like, "Don't touch her.
Yeah,
she's not."
I mean, I think there's both. I think there's both here. I think that he certainly is very, very unhappy that he's been rebuffed by Ashley, and that as an incel, he cannot accept that he is not able to do what he wants with her. But at the same time, the film does really draw attention to the fact that his biggest concern is not Ashley, because he does eventually kill her and doesn't really feel remorse about it. It's more so that he doesn't know why his mother stopped, basically being so attentive to him. that's really what draws him in at the end, where Ashley doesn't respond, and she kind of just sinks into herself and keeps that a secret when she says, "I know why your mother stopped."
Well, I think too. Well, I agree with that part, but I don't like when it comes to you can potentially see Ashley then as like a stand-in, like, mother figure for
Right.
him,
Mm-hmm.
because she's the one that's been babysitting and watching over him, when we see them sitting on the couch, and he rests her head on like his shoulder. It's not like a romantic, like, lying the head on the shoulder. It's more like,
Motherly thing.
Yeah. So I mean, it's there, but I don't. I don't think it's. I don't like I said. I don't think it's too deep because again, at the same time, maybe they're trying to connect, like, all these incels in life, just have really bad motherly things. But it's definitely taking shots at incel culture.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know that there's enough there that the film is a super effective about like the Freudian dynamic. I think that if we had seen a little bit more with the mother outside of this one scenario, then we may have been able to draw more conclusions. Virginia Madsen is very good as the mom, Deandra.
Patrick Warburton's even better as the
Patrick
dad.
Warburton is great as the father. Love it.
I love too, which, you know what, in 2016, kind of weird that, she's like, don't put those up, they're gay. And he's like, what? No, they're metrosexual. Metrosexual. And she's like, that's not what it is, it's metro. It's like, even by 2016, that has like totally been like in and out of the popular culture zeitgeist.
Yeah.
And like in and out of like everyone's vernacular. Like if you ask most people today, like, what does metrosexual mean? They have to probably sit there and think like, oh God, where is that on the spectrum? I don't know. Like, and it's like, no, something we said back in 2003 when Queer Eye was back on TV.
Yeah. I mean, I think Virginia Madsen does a really good job. I just think that there's not enough here interaction between Luke and her to really definitively show the...
She just seems like a drunk.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think she does a great job showing like her sarcastic, wry humor and sort of like aloofness, but I don't know that we get enough with the interaction between her and Luke to really say anything particular. The only thing that we get is sort of like hearsay from the context of what Luke does and says. Like he listens to a fetal heartbeat as his night sound machine. And so that kind of is supposed to hint at like, oh, wow, he's got some mommy issues. Or the fact that at the end of the movie, he's sort of like cuddled up next to her while she's stroking him after, they find all the dead bodies in the house. And, that's really, it seems like what he was trying to get at is more attention. I think you're right. I think they're poking a little bit of fun at the incel culture and saying, yeah, you probably have some mommy issues that are extending from how you feel now in your rejection. But I'm not saying that the film does a great job selling it, but I think that's what they were going for as a theme.
Totally. It's because I told you before we even started, I'm like, I didn't even look at any of the reviews, but was this taking pot shots at incels? Because it definitely felt like it for 3/4 of the film. And you're like, yeah, same thought. It's like, okay, good. Wasn't just me.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so one thing we didn't talk about is all of the gore and brutality that's in Better Watch Out. What do you think about that?
Well, there's not too much because we have a very incredibly small cast and a small number of violent actions, but they are effective. They're not over the top, but they are effective, and they're less is more approach. The whole hanging of Ashley's ex-boyfriend Jeremy, well done. Very kind of cringe-inducing, and also funny at the same time. Watching him do it from a fucking ride-on mower, sitting there with his Craftsman, fucking rolling out, and hanging the guy. But well done. The whole paint bucket thing is a great payoff to a line, that you wouldn't think had any meaning, like, was just like kind of a throwaway line earlier in the film. Having that actually in the film as one of the kills, very interesting. I think well done too. We don't really get to see like his head get smashed in, but we get to see kind of the aftermath and the blood and the paint mixed together and tripped down. Very cool.
Yeah, I think that scene in particular is super effective in this movie because it doesn't show it. And for the most part, Better Watch Out is sort of like a horror comedy. It's certainly a dark comedy in some scenarios. But in that scene particularly, it gets rid of all comedy, and it actually feels extremely grim. It's very brutal.
Let's say by that point too, we also are really seeing like Luke as a sociopath. As he's just reveling and like, I told you that.
Yeah, and not only that, but I think it's because we get the great interaction, or the great reactions from the cast, who do a really good job with it. Because in the beginning of the film, it's kind of loosey goosey. Everybody's kind of humored. At that point, you've got Luke, who's really receded into the sociopathic behavior, and does a great job with it. Very, very selling of that feeling. And then you have Garrett and Ashley, who you really just get their reactions to that scene, where Garrett's like, "Holy shit, this just went from like a nice little like stupid prank to something extremely disturbing." And obviously Ashley as well, whose boyfriend just got his head smashed in. And the really effective part of that I can't stress enough is just the scenes where they're showing the aftermath of it, but not the actual gore that you would expect to see from a lesser movie that is just looking for the like the shock value of it. You get to see really interesting details, like his feet where the paint and the blood splashes down, or from behind where the paint can you can see is like still sitting on his head, but you don't get to see the actual gore. And I think that's really well done from this movie because it emphasizes the brutality and the disturbing nature of that kill, that it's not just like a comedic effect. It's it's like a very dark, disturbing element to the movie that's again set with that caroling element, which really reminds me of Black Christmas. I really like that scene a lot. I think it's probably one of the best scenes in the movie.
Mm-hmm. It's like the film does have like a nice little subtle homages, like as we said before, which definitely adds to the ambiance and character of the film. It's like having these nice little like, hey, if you've been closely paying attention, you'll notice,
Yeah, and then the other one that comes up that it's a nice score effect is the pencil stabbing to the face, which is another scene that is hinted at the very beginning of the movie when they linger on the pencil that's been put under the rug. You're like, that's going to come up again. That's Chekhov's gun right there. It's a nice little element. And then not only that, but it kind of plays out throughout the movie because the pencil ultimately ends up becoming an important detail that Luke has to go and fix and then put on his door. And it just becomes like a running theme throughout the movie of this one little pencil that has caused, mischief for him, which I really like. And then obviously we get to the end of the movie, which has, again, once things are wrapped up, Luke becomes technically our protagonist / antagonist that we follow. He's the only one left. After, he kills everybody else, he's got to clean up.
Still Scream 4's ending.
Yeah. He's got to get ready for his parents to come home and then pretend like he had no idea what happened during this, murder-suicide that happened downstairs in his house. And we get to see a nice little twist at the end that, Luke isn't the only one that's still alive there. What did you think about that final shot of, the police coming in and the last scene?
I'm fine with it. It's cliched. you knew at the end that you knew that Ashley wasn't going to be dead at the end. You know, they weren't going to just have like a incredibly bleak ending of like, oh, it ends with him getting away, you know, with everything.
Yeah, I think that emphasis on showing him cleaning up and like almost as though the film is rooting for him tells you like, yeah, no, that's not going to be the end. That can't possibly be the theme of this movie.
The takeaway.
Yeah, the takeaway. Yeah.
But I mean, it's a fine ending. I wouldn't say it's anything spectacular because again, it's kind of wraps up neatly with the first part of the film where it's very kind of just cliched and been, you know, trodden ground before, where, you know, we see our heroine getting carted off in the ambulance and still surviving and, you know, potentially having to deal with the ramifications of the events, but to this date we haven't seen what that is yet. Because we haven't had a sequel.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind it. I think that it has at least a nice wrap up at the end. I thought that, like you said, you're kind of expecting something to happen there. You can't possibly have an ending where, you know, Luke gets away with it and that's the end of it, and you know, oh, that's such a downer ending. You don't really expect that, especially because that would almost seem to indicate that the film has some sort of affinity for Luke's behavior in it. But I mean, I think it works fine enough, and it kind of sets up like the whole Halloween 2 sort of thing. It's like, well, is he gonna try to make it to the hospital and get her before she can speak?
Wouldn't that be just fucking ridiculous? Better watch out too. Watching a little boy, you know, going through a fucking hospital while everyone yells, "Evil dies tonight."
It's Halloween 2, but set at Christmas time.
And that, you know, they look, evil must die tonight, and they look for, you know, the real killer as he's just, you know, slaughtering them all.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I would be open to a second movie, but I just don't know how they would end up doing it.
No, because it leaves you in very, very small room to navigate.
Yeah, which makes sense. You know, it would be extremely hard to pull it off. I don't know how they would end up doing it, but yeah, I mean, I think the ending is good enough. It's what you have to get, basically. It's the only way that the film succeeds. Otherwise, you know, you're empathizing with a sociopath, so I don't really want that too much. Anything else that we didn't talk about? Didn't we get to?
Do you like that film poster?
Yeah, I like it because it really doesn't give you too much to go off of. Like, you know, it looks like
it's gonna be a slasher film.
Yeah, it looks like your slasher, your typical home invasion movie. You've got the Christmas element in there with the bulbs and stuff in the background. I like it. I think it's
kind of Black Christmassy.
Yeah, kind of Black Christmassy. Yep. I think it does a pretty good job with that. So I like it. I think it's, you know, just generic enough to leave you out in the cold and not realizing what the twist is going to be.
Just be like, oh, what's going on here?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, so one thing we didn't talk about. So what did you think about the holiday cheer? What did you think about how Christmassy is this movie? How is it festive?
Yeah, it's got like decorations everywhere, and the caroling, the fucking goddamn incessant caroling. 2 points off for the fake snow, but they shot it in Sydney, so you know. Which city is this taking place in?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm almost assuming like Chicago, because the cops that come in at the end have like the, you know, Chicago police style hats with like the checker caps.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe another reference to Home Alone.
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know where it's supposed to be taking place.
And why the hell is she going to Pittsburgh? That's the question I was asking myself the entire time. Why the hell is Ashley like, I'm moving to Pittsburgh?
Why are you going to Pittsburgh?
I want to learn that Yinzer speak. So I can sound like a Yinzer. We should do an episode where we just speak in Yinzer.
Absolutely.
You know what that is?
No.
It's it's Pittsburgh talk, like their accent. They call it Yinzer. Because instead of saying like you guys, it sounds like they're saying Yinzes. It's also what they call Steeler fans, Yinzers.
Yeah, I mean, I think this film is Christmassy enough. It's certainly got a very, the set design is good, very Christmassy, festive, nice lights, black Christmassy sort of in the stylings of it. So I think it works rather well. And I bring that up because some, horror movies that are set around Christmas is like Christmas is really in the background. It's really not a focal point of the movie. Or even like with Blood Rage, Thanksgiving was the setting, but you if you didn't catch that it was like on Thanksgiving, you would know.
Stop.
Right?
Don't lie to these people. It was never there.
Yeah. So
it was all a dream.
So I wanted to point that out, This one certainly feels like Christmas.
All it was missing was like, it's Christmas. Do 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 do. Christmas.
The snow's coming down.
Christmas.
Yep.
Where's the episode? Where's the Christmas movie from today where the classic Christmas song is just fucking Mariah Carey playing?
I don't know.
Where's the Christmas movie with Delilah? I want the Christmas film with Delilah.
Yeah, me too.
Holy shit. That song came out in 94? Really? All I Want for Christmas Is You is that old? Holy shit.
Yeah. Super old.
I thought it was like later in Mariah's career.
No. It's old.
Jesus Christ.
All right, that's all I got for Better Watch Out. How about you? That's it.
Yeah, that's about
That's
it.
everything. We covered it. All right, so what do we got on the show for next week? I believe.
Wow. Not even gonna rate it. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's right. We gotta rate it.
No.
No rating for this one.
Wow, that's just.
All right, on a scale of 0 to 10.
Paint cans to the head?
No. It was going to be 0 to 10. Patrick Warburton, Christmas ties. What would you rate Better Watch Out?
Give it a 7.5 out of 10. I think it's pretty enjoyable. As tired and cliched as the premise that this film originally sets up as, I think it does enough. In the second half of the film to be unique enough to be interesting. I think the performances all around this film are very well done. Very well portrayed, keeps you engaged throughout the entire film. I think the writing in this film is pretty smart. So even though you're running into some very tired and cliche, bits of like home invasion slasher films, it's giving you something new and something enjoyable at the same time. Probably could have done a little bit more with kind of fleshing out some of the characters in this. But I still say it's pretty enjoyable. And probably, as you said too, probably going to be something that's going to be more enjoyable the first time than in repeated viewings. Because once you kind of get past the twist, I don't know, how much this would hold up on rewatches. Mm-hmm. But for now, I'd say 7.5 out of 10. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I would give this an 8 out of 10. I think it's a really solid movie that has inspiration from, obviously, Home Alone, Black Christmas, Scream, American Psycho. So it takes a lot, and then it boils it all down, puts it into a really compelling 90-minute movie that keeps you on your toes for like the first 45 minutes and shifts its tone quite a bit into the second half of the movie. So, you're really kind of given a nice twist that works the first time. And then on subsequent viewings, you obviously, the twist, but you're still you're viewing it in a different light because you're viewing Luke in a different light. You see him more as like a sociopath who is consistently being able to, filter himself and, change the way that he's displaying himself to other people. And that is kind of interesting to watch too. So I don't know that a subsequent viewing is necessarily not as effective as the first. You're looking for different things in that movie that you didn't see the first time. But I think that the most effective viewing is the first one, where you're kind of like taken with the twist and you can run with it and see where the movie goes. I think it does a really good job with its gore effects, which are fairly limited, but still surprising. And when it decides to do grim and disturbing, it does it really well. With the paint can scene particularly, that is a really great moment that the film does not infuse a lot of comedy with, which is not always the case because it is somewhat of a horror dark comedy. It has dual tones in it, and I think it works really well in that scenario. So overall, I think it's a really fun movie to watch, especially for the holidays. It's kind of like a adult Home Alone. And if you're looking for something effective for the Christmas season and you don't want to go back to the classics, then Better Watch Out is certainly one to look out for. All right. So that's our coverage. So now, what are we doing next week? I'll tell you what we're doing next week.
Christmas Evil.
It's Christmas Evil. That's right. Christmas Evil. Have you ever seen it?
No. God, no.
All right. All right. So it's another Killer Santa Claus movie, but it's definitely different than Silent Night, Deadly Night. And you'll see why. It's crazy. It's a crazy movie. I enjoy it. I have a t-shirt about Christmas Evil.
I love just half these fucking films you expect me to have stumbled upon at some point in my life. Hey, have you seen like this D-list slasher film from the 80s? No. Oh, okay.
I don't know why you haven't seen it.
Well, it wasn't on ACM or anything, so.
Nah, yeah, I'm just kidding. It's not one that you probably would have just been like, hey, I'll check that out.
I wasn't like you. I wasn't fucking traipsing Fangoria in the mid-2000s like, oh, what are they talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let's check that out.
No, it's a fun movie. It's crazy. I think you'll like it. I think you'll enjoy it. It's cool. So that's coming up next week. So we'll stay tuned because we're gonna have some fun with that one.
You hope.
I hope. And just one more shout out to the Cult Film Companion. Jeff, definitely check those guys out in their podcast. Always can get more film podcasts in your daily life, so check them out. And then, also subscribe to us, review us, leave us a nice rating. We're on pretty much any podcasting app that you can think of. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, our home base at anchor.fm. Anywhere. We have a Facebook and Twitter page. Search for us on there, Blood and Black Rum Podcast. Give us a like or a follow. And you can write to us at bloodandblackrumpodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, what films you want us to cover, and we'll keep that in mind. Finally, you can donate to us on our Patreon page or through anchor.fm, or I think even through Apple Podcasts now. You can donate to us. So that helps keep the beer flowing. We appreciate anything you can give our way. Other than that, we hope you have a fantastic holiday season as we continue through the, 24 days of Christmas. And you know what? Martin is now doing cameos for Carol of the Bells. So if you'd like to order a cameo of Martin singing Carol of the Bells.
You know what? We need to get rid of Goulet. After 5 years, we're gonna get rid of Goulet.
Just have you do Carol of the Bells on there, and just keep making up sound effects that you're doing.
Well, you do a terrific version of it too.
It's more like just syncopation with your mouth than actually saying words. But there are words to it. If you look it up, there are words.
I know.
Jesus is born. Jesus is king. Some religious bullshit. It's not real. There's a nice story involved with Carol of the Bells.
You know what? There's some nice evangelical person who's just listening to this show.
Yeah, they're like, I'm tuning out.
Got through the whole episode about incels and murder and everything, and then you threw Christ under the bus like that.
Yeah,
you know what? I'm out.
They're done. First and last episode, blasphemous. During the holiday season, no less. Jesus was born. It's his birthday coming up.
And Jesus died.
On that blasphemous note, we'll end our podcast. So definitely tune in next week for our episode on Christmas Evil. We hope to see you back then.
Take care.